Terrific. I'll call the meeting to order and ask you to stand with us for the national anthem.
We would like to acknowledge
that we are here today
on the traditional territory
of the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation.
Nous tenons à reconnaître que
nous sommes sur le territoire traditionnel
des Mississaugas de la
Première Nation de New Credit.
Thank you. Okay, welcome. Tonight we have regrets from Trustee Andrews and Trustee B. McDonald. I have one addition to the agenda, which is 6.1A, which is an addendum to our retirement. So if trustees would make sure they are aware of that. Other than that, well, there are a couple of trustee-elect, is that how you go do it? Trustee-elect people. Part of our new board that is coming on board soon, and so I would like to congratulate and introduce John Marchant, who is up at the top, and John is representing the wonderful wards of 1 and 7, which I am fairly well acquainted with, and John and I had a meeting yesterday, and I was thoroughly impressed, and I know that John's going to make a valuable contribution to this board, so congratulations to John. And Susan Benjamin, who will represent Ward 5. There you are, Susan. Congratulations and welcome to the board in a couple of short weeks, I believe. I think you'll be most impressed with this operation, and we're delighted that you have this kind of interest in public education. So I unfortunately, won't be working with you, but all of my anxious colleagues indeed will be. So congratulations. I'll see you though in a couple weeks. I don't know, it's the 20th or something for orientation. So that's always a fun day, or couple hours anyway. So welcome. Congratulations. I always have helpful people, but in the audience as well. And I should, if I did this every meeting, I wouldn't set records. But anyway, I do want to acknowledge the OSSTF, ETFO, QP 2544, and our wonderful IRFs are here, and they always are here. Someone's here monitoring and keeping us company. So thank you and welcome, and I know that you will be as helpful as my colleagues to the new board that will take over on December the 3rd. I do not have any other questions or comments, so would Trustee Williams, will you move the agenda as amended? Seconded by Trustee Crocker. All those in favor? Carried. Trustee Green.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, just before you get into the agenda, I just would like to ask you to indulge me so I can bring some clarification to an issue. And I would like to take this time to address this issue that was brought to my attention that may have caused some concerns. And in leading up to the election, a volunteer from Free For All tweeted a tweet that referred to the Peel Federation targeted me because of my skin color or my belief. As the executive director, this was brought to my attention, and I'm accountable to for whatever comes out of the tweet at that office. So when it was brought to my attention, I take action as any good director would. I acted. I directed the tweet to remove. I've also asked that in a future tweet that would negatively impact the work that we do must be reviewed by our operation manager before going out. And if you ask me, do I believe that the Federation is racist? No, I don't. I do not think so. I've worked with these folks for some time, and they have not shown me anything that they are any of such. Secondly, in my statement during the last board meeting, I was speaking to individuals who, on their own, acted inappropriately ahead of the election. And I was not referring to any employee group when I spoke. I regret if anyone misunderstood, and I hope that we can move on from here. Together with my colleagues and the Federation, I look forward to moving forward in a positive way. I know we all are committed to the same thing, and that's the success of our student, and I look forward to working with you. And I thank you for the time that I may make this clarification. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Green. Are there any declarations? Oh, you see, when you start naming people, you shouldn't do that because you always leave somebody out. So I also want to recognize and welcome QP 1628, who's here, who is our office assistants and secretarial staff. Declarations of conflict of interest. Seeing none, then we move on to the minutes. Section 3. 3.2 is the regular meeting of the board, October 23rd, and 3.3 is the Physical Planning and Building Committee meeting, which was our annual planning document, October 29th. They are here for approval and receipt. Trustee Green, will you put them on the floor, please? Thank you. Seconded by Trustee Cameron. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. Are there any written questions, notices of motion? Hang on here. So we also have, this is going to go on and on, you know this. I will warn whoever's going to be the chair of this board in a few weeks, don't ever do this. As much as we appreciate people, the OPSU 292 is also here. Thank you. I'm sorry, the written questions, notices of motion, or petitions from trustees. Trustee Crocker.
Thank you, Chair. I am in receipt of a letter from parents at Whitehorn Public School making what I'm sure we would all agree is a reasonable request. It's signed by, I haven't counted them, but there's about 20 parents there, I would say. It's actually addressed to the vice principal at the school, but I told her that I would bring it forward. This is concerning a consistently late morning bus. And the letter reads as follows. This is to bring to your attention the plight of us parents and our children at the intersection of Heatherley and Father de Souza. The morning bus at this particular stop is habitually and consistently late, and on occasion, especially when it is raining or the weather is bad, just does not show up at all. The bus is supposed to be there at the stop between 8:35 and 8:40 a.m. However, it generally tends to arrive around 8:55 or even 9 a.m., so 25 minutes. It should be noted that there are about 35 to 40 children at this particular stop. Sounds like almost a busload to me, Chair. Upon conversation with the driver, it appears that this gentleman seems to think that there is too much traffic on the roads in the morning, and therefore it is quite impossible for him to be on time. He does not seem to notice at all that the other buses are running and are on time. I don't know about that one, Chair, but anyway, that's what the letter says. Consequently, we, the parents of our respective children, are mostly waiting for the bus for up to 30 minutes at a time, resulting in us eventually packing up our children in various cars and driving them to school ourselves. This results in the children, more often than not, being late for school, while some of the children whose parents have no access to transport at that time have to go back home, unless they can bag a ride with someone. We are sure you will agree that this is the height of irresponsibility on the part of the driver, who does not seem to be too concerned about this issue at all. Furthermore, this is extremely inconvenient for us and our children, particularly as the cold season is now upon us. We request you look into this matter and let us know who we need to talk to or how we can go about rectifying this issue. Regards, and as I say, it's signed by a long list of parents. Chair, if I may ask you for your further indulgence, in a similar vein, I'm getting regular updates from a Dolphin Senior Public School parent, and here's his latest. Hi, Mr. Crocker. We had two issues this week. This is last week now. Monday, November 5 and Tuesday, November 6. Both days, we did not get an email to let us know the bus would be late. On Monday, the bus arrived at 8:30 a.m. On Tuesday, the bus arrived at 8:14. Standing in the cold for half an hour is not fun. The bus is to pick up our son at 7:46. The run number is 1325. And Chair, these are not isolated examples. Parents and school administrators continue to report communication problems with StopR and the bus companies. Promised email updates do not arrive or are filled with erroneous information. It is regrettable that trustees come to meeting after meeting where we have other work to do, complaining about busing. But the reality is that most of the calls we get, that I get anyway, are about student transportation. A principal told me last week that it's a shame when she has so much else on her mind about instructional and organizational functions at her school that she finds herself every day as she drives to work worried more about whether the buses will be on time. As an aside, today I had a different parent call me, a different run. This one's 0113 and reports the bus was 15 minutes late again, and that's just business as usual. Another school administrator told me that many parents do not feel confident in their English language skills, so they are hesitant to call StopR as they may be misunderstood. They rely on others, such as ourselves, trustees, to articulate their concerns. Better still, to fix the problem and ensure that services promised are delivered. If drivers are telling the parents that the bus is late and will continue to be late because they have earlier runs which make it impossible for them to arrive on time for the third run, then clearly we need to adjust run times. Perhaps we need to look at changing bell times. While later bell times might not work for the junior grades, we have been told for many years that teenagers would be better served by schools which start later in the day. Now, I don't think there's anybody in the room right now who would say that there's less traffic these days, or that it's getting easier and safer to travel on our roads. We are all of us having to leave more time to ensure that we are not late for meetings and appointments. So it is with our children's busing. So for the record, Chair, my question is, why can we not take a serious look at adjusting bell times to allow bus drivers to get the kids to school without missing large chunks of instructional time? And if that's not the answer, what is? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Crocker. Now, can I take that as a petition from the 20 some odd people? Oh, sorry, yes.
Chair, that would be your ruling. It's not on the form which, I believe it's not on the form which is on the website. It does list, as I say, there'd be about 20 parent names. Some of them are first and last names. Some of them are just the first name. They do list the names of the children and the grades, and there are signatures and there are phone numbers in all but 2 cases.
Okay, I think it should be a petition rather than a letter.
I'm sure they'd be pleased with that response.
Okay,
on
so
the chair's part.
let's classify that as a petition that will be answered at the next board meeting, which is the 27th. In the meantime, could I ask Associate Director Gill, where are we? Are we improving? Are we holding? Are we, oh, okay. Controller Chung, the floor is yours, sir.
Through you, Madam Chair. We are, I won't comment on staffing at Star Bar, we're in open session, but we definitely are stabilizing on our busing right now, as you can all notice. And as I've indicated to trustees, we'll gladly look at individual schools. I think we're down to probably, at this point, 5 or 6 runs that are problematic that we are currently working on. The bus companies have added additional drivers. I have the notes in front of me if you want to give me a minute. So First Student has added 5 new trained drivers as of the last 2 weeks. They do have 5 drivers in training. There are 4 new routes that have been removed from underperforming bus operators in the Mississauga area to date. And First Student Mississauga has also added 6 new drivers, and they have 6 drivers in training. Now, I think need to caution everyone that we do have our usual fall resignations for bus drivers that do not believe bus driving is not for them, but we are continuing to recruit and train new drivers to replace that. So we do not have the same issues right now from our data as we've had last year. But I need to caution that the winter is coming, and we traditionally will have drivers that go to warmer climes for the winter. I believe we are almost there, but I think we do need some more reserve drivers to get us properly through the winter. So that's where we're at right now.
So how many routes would you say are affected right now that aren't on time? I don't care if they're 5, 10, 15, or 60.
I think right now, particularly in the Mississauga area, we are looking at about 5 routes that we are currently working on improving. I'm not saying that performance is awful,
Right.
but there are 5 routes.
And how about Brampton? None, Brampton? Like,
To date, Brantham is performing well.
Good
through you,
for
Chair.
them.
One of the small pockets, particularly, would be First Student at Atridge in Mississauga, and one of the areas is Trustee Crocker's area.
And-
so, yes.
sorry, would that go for Caledon as well?
To date, Carleton is
date.
actually performing well.
Okay.
And we do not have the same issues in Carleton today.
Okay, so I hear that from trustees that, and we accept your explanation and we trust you, except there would be some trustees who might say, no, I just heard from a parent or 2 parents or 5 parents this week, and they're all still having difficulty. So I encourage trustees to connect with Controller Chung and tell them exactly what schools those are, and if you know the bus company and the route, that he needs to know that information. So, I mean, it does sound like we're getting better. I don't know if we'll ever solve this problem, but Trustee Crocker's second part of his letter was about bell times. And I know that we examine bell times, not on a regular basis, but certainly on an annual basis. So, Controller Chung, when will we be doing that for next year? Or is it a difficult thing to do, probably, in the middle of the year?
So through you, Chair, definitely, when we brought an initial report almost a year ago to the board, there are definitely efficiencies and operational gains through adjusting bell times. If we are to look at it seriously, we would need to start right after Christmas. And then that is at the discretion of the board, of course, but through our audit, our re-audit audit, that was pointed out, and we also brought it forward in our report, that if you want to improve our service, one of the issues would be adjusting bell times.
So, to your point, Trustee Crocker, I would suggest that probably in December or in the new year, possibly maybe bring forward a motion that forms a committee that has a real good discussion about whether or not we can do it, whether or not it would be acceptable to our student population and parents. And I'm thinking about secondary schools mostly. That's where you need, you cannot change that bell time for an elementary school to be later or to be earlier, really, because it affects the parents' work tremendously. So, but secondary schools possibly. That is such an interesting conversation and research around teenagers and when they learn best, and if indeed it's true that if we moved it, and then what kind of union complications would we create. It's a big conversation, but it sounds to me that it's an important one and could help solve this busing issues. There are other ones I have, and one of those is public transit, that we have very little input from our municipalities around helping us provide transportation to our secondary schools. But I think that is another possibility worth looking at and talking with our mayors about, can you help us out? We can help you out by increasing your ridership, so can you help us out? So this is a big conversation for the winter, for January on, and I think one that is worthy of staff and trustees' time. I'll leave it like that and leave it to other people, but certainly if I guess, Mr. Chung, if you would put that in writing, what currently it looks like right now, that would help Trustee Crocker answer that petition. Like, bring it forward to the next board meeting. That's about the best we can do. Okay? Oh,
Thank you, Chair.
I have a lot. Thank you. Trustee Green.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. You just stole my thunder because we do have a stopper meeting this Friday morning, and I was going to suggest out of that meeting, hopefully next week I can provide a wholesome report and have that sent out to all trustees. I will work with Associate Director Gill and Controller Chang to make sure once we get back from that meeting, we will put what we're hearing at that meeting, and I got some critical questions that I need to ask, and make sure all of that are captured in the report that I will send out to my colleague to keep them informed and update on exactly what we're hearing at that meeting on Friday morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee DeCroo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And if you would allow, I have a bit of an observation or maybe a bit of a question in regards to the transportation issues. I always seem to remember that whenever most of our transportation issues kind of begin to resolve after the year started, Trustee Crocker's area seems to continue to have them. And I wonder if there's anything particularly difficult about that. I just feel for my colleague, and I feel like, and maybe Trustee Crocker is just more vocal than the rest of us about it all. But also, it just seems like this continues on in one particular area in Mississauga, and I wonder if there's a reason why that is, and if there's any way we can help out.
Can you answer that, Mr. Chung?
Just through you, Chair. Specifically in Trustee Crocker's area, it is a first student Mississauga issue. They also do an extensive zone in Brampton. So it is definitely to that bus carrier, and that's why we have removed 4 routes from them already to date. It is a significant impact on a bus company to remove a route For the duration of the contract, that can amount to $350,000 for the duration of the contract for one route to be removed. So we have removed 4 routes from them already and redistributed them to other companies that are more capable. We've also, to date, levied approximately $50,000 to $60,000 in fines, not specifically the first student, but they would probably receive a good portion of that. So that's what we've done to date.
Okay. No other comments? So I think we've covered that topic, and we'll look forward to the response in not, but the picture in time for the response to that petition, Trustee Crocker. So if we can move on then, move on to 6, section 6, please, and that is for receipt. 6.1A and 6.1 are here, as well as 6.2 is good news. So, well, some of this, I'm glad that 6.1A is not in the good news section, because it isn't, but we're very happy for Director Dawn Beckett-Morton, who has submitted her retirement notice to us, and we very much appreciate the hard work that Dawn and the Human Resources Department has done on behalf of this board for a number of years. HR is an interesting portfolio, and one that I know is extremely busy. We have, about 17,000 employees. So you can imagine that the work in that department is always ongoing. And Dawn was with us from 1981 to 1987. So she understood what it is to make a good decision when she was Labor Relations Officer. But for some reason, she got herself off track at some point.
Misguided.
Yes, misguided, I guess, and because it was before me even, or I might have been able to straighten you out. But Dawn went to the Halton District School Board from 87 to 2011 as the Executive Officer of HR, just collecting so much experience. Enough experience actually to come back to us. I won't, maybe you saw the light, maybe not, I don't know, but we were sure happy to see you apply for that job in 2011. And so, and it has been just a pleasure to work with you and all of your department. Dawn is this calm, very relaxed kind of person who has experience, and you can just take that confidence when really Rome is burning at times. But, and we appreciate that leadership and that guidance that you have had for us. So we wish you the very best in your retirement. I don't know, this is the second time. Are you going to another board? Because will we find that, Dawn? Because if you are, maybe we should have a talk. But if you're really going to retire and relax and do some of the things that I know have been waiting for you, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, thank you and congratulations, and we wish you all the best with health and happiness in your future. Thank you. Do you want to speak? Okay. Director Joshua had a few words to say, and I know that your colleagues, Superintendent Senior Administration, will have more to say out of the public eye, so to speak. I'm sure it'll all be good, though, Dawn. It'll be just fine. I was going to recognize the, on the retirement list is the retirement notice of Janice Mueller, who is just an outstanding and incredible person that I have worked extremely closely with over the time of my trusteeship. But she, unfortunately, ran out of here. I don't know if it was because she didn't want to hear all those wonderful things about herself, but I understand she's a little under the weather. So I'm going to hold my remarks till the next meeting on the 27th, and hopefully she'll be here and we'll be able to congratulate her personally. So we'll leave that one for that. But that certainly is our retirements. The other good news, though, The other good news is with regard to the Youth Film Festival and David Suzuki. Am I stealing somebody's thunder? Trustee DeCroop, would you like me to recognize you now? No, you've pushed your button. Oh, yeah, I can, yes. Okay.
I thought you were giving me an award. I was like, whoa.
No, I'm not giving you anything.
I also want to say congratulations to Dawn and to Janice on your retirement. I want to thank you both. I know Janice is not here, but I want to thank you both for all the guidance and support that you've given me over the past 4 years. I've learned so much from you about human resources and process and how things work. So I do really want to thank you for that, and thank you for the service that you provided to our board. And I wish you all the best in your retirement. And please don't be a stranger. And the other one is I actually wanted to say congratulations to Kayla Tishkoff. Is she here?
Yep. No, she's not
Okay.
here.
Well, maybe Carla will tell her.
And Ryan.
This is actually pretty cool. She's been named one of the National School Public Relations Association class of 35 under 35, and she's the only Canadian on this year's recipient list, which is pretty awesome. So congratulations to that.
I just want to be 35, but never mind. Never mind being recognized for it. But that's not going to happen either. And then on page 32, I'd like to point out the excellence of our communications department. And it's not always in the winning of awards, but it's sure nice to be recognized by your peers and your peer associations. So congratulations to that entire department, headed up by Carla Pereira. And I saw some of that tweeting on Twitter, and so congratulations on a job well done. As I said, I was meeting with John yesterday, and did I not tell you, John, that we have the best communications department of anywhere, anybody, any organization, at least in this province, so, and encouraged him to work well with you. So thank you very much for all of your hard work. So this is here for receipt. I am sorry, Trustee Green. What do you want me to do?
Okay. Thank you. Madam Chair, I definitely could not go by not recognizing the student and staff at David Suzuki Secondary School for this prestigious award here and the Youth Film Festival. Just yesterday, the principal and I had a breakfast together, and he was able to share some amazing stuff that is happening at the school. And I'm so truly impressed of some of the things that are happening and some of the things that are about to take place at that school. That school is different and is on the move. So I want to definitely, because students cannot succeed without the staff behind them, supporting them, and inspiring them. So I congratulate each and every one who has a hand in this. So thank you.
Thank you. Trustee K. McDonald.
Thank you. I also want to congratulate Joshua, Lorna, Brooke, and Danielle. And these are some of the amazing students that were behind the REC, International Youth Film Festival. I went to the unveiling a couple months ago, and it was outstanding. I couldn't believe that these were students. It was like a professional Hollywood production. And I also met a lot of the homeless people that were featured in the film. It was an eye-opening experience. It was earth-shattering, and just to see the transformation of the individuals, these students that were involved in this process, was priceless. So I really kudos to them for bringing attention to a very important issue that affects us all.
Thank
so
you.
I just wanted to say kudos to
Thank
them.
you. So it's been moved and seconded, and so all those in favor of receipt? Carried. We don't have any delegations this evening, and so we'll move on to 8. 8.1 is the response to the petition. I'm looking for my 8s, but I can't find them. anyway, 8.1 is the response to the petition regarding the students in a portable at Fairview Public School. At Fairview is a school that I represent, and I can happily report that some of the concerns have been resolved to the parents' satisfaction. So, Trustee Nurse, will you put this on the floor since I can't before you leave? Trustee Cameron, will you second that? All those in favor? Carried. So we'll move on to section 9. 9.2, the recommendations of the Physical Planning and Building Committee, the APD of, which is the annual planning document of October 29th. All of the recommendations are here that are contained in the document, and for Trustee-elect, there are, this is online, and so you can access this whenever you wish. Trustee Green, will you put it on the floor, please? Thank you. And Trustee DeCrube, will you second it? Trustee DeCrube, you wish to speak to it?
Yes, thank you. Just wanted to say that, just for the record, that I'm still not happy with the fact that we are going to be capping the French immersion at Plumtree Park, though I do understand that it is a necessary evil to keep a balanced school with the English track program, and that it would benefit the whole board from an equity perspective, but I still think that it's an unfortunate thing that we're going to be losing one class of French immersion for that school.
Thank you. Trustee Green.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I just want to take the time to really commend Controller Wright and his department for the work that went into the annual planning document. As the chair of the Planning and Accommodation Department, I often sometimes get to interact with Controller Wright and his staff, and just to see the amount of work that goes on in that department in trying to prepare and look ahead in how we can best serve our students. It's amazing, and it's a lot of work. I know this year planning document is a little bit smaller than the usual years since I've been chairing the Planning and Accommodation Department, but even so, there was a lot of work that went in it, and the meeting itself was really smooth, and having those trustee information sessions where each trustee were able to get to ask those critical questions is key and is important, and therefore Controller Wright, just convey my thanks to the staff, how much we do appreciate the time and the work and effort that goes into this document. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. It's such a busy department, I agree. So it's been moved and seconded. There are recommendations here for approval and for receipt. All those in favor? Opposed and carried. 9.3 are the changes to the Peel District School Board's bylaws. They are here, and there's actually, it's on delegations, and it's really, I think, to reflect current practice. And so the changes, there's nothing earth-shattering about the changes except, as I said, to reflect the current practice. Trustee Williams, will you put that on the floor for me, please? Seconded by Trustee Lawton. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. 9.4 is a bundle of Peel District School Board policy reviews, and they are here for approval. According to the Education Act, we have to review our policies once every term, and so I'm not sure if we're all caught up, but certainly this is quite, gets us almost there. And so there are a number of policies here that reflect some of the changes that have occurred within the board over the past little while, and of course some housekeeping and also changes that have occurred from the Ministry of Education. And so we have incorporated them into our policies so that we remain aligned and consistent with the ministry. Can I ask Trustee Crocker, will you put them on the floor for me? Thank you very much. Trustee Nurse, will you second them? Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. 9.5, and thank you for the work, by the way. There's a lot of work there by many different departments and administrators, as well as the trustee review committee. So I appreciate that. This is the one I'm not doing, right? Yeah. This is the notice of appointment. Because I'm sorry, I'm a little behind on this one. I missed that memo. But remind Janet that she was going to waive oh, okay. Yeah, why am I doing that though? Okay, so this is to establish an Integrity Commissioner Selection Committee and to appoint the appointment of 8 trustees to the Integrity Commissioner Selection Committee to be made at the November 27th board meeting. Excuse me for a moment, but is there a necessity to do it tonight? And I forgot that conversation. Yes, but that could be next week, the next board meeting too. Okay, so administration are encouraging me to ask the board if they would waive the notice and deal with this tonight. I know, no, I see your button, Trustee DeCroop. And I know what your question is already. Go ahead.
You can read my mind.
Almost.
I'm gonna miss this. I'm concerned because we're appointing 8 trustees,
Yes.
right? And 4 of them are sitting in the stands. So,
Yes.
well, maybe not 4 of them. How
2.
many of them are there? 2 of them.
But we do have 4 new trustees.
But there's 2 more. So I don't think it's appropriate because we're not going to hire an integrity commissioner in the next 2 weeks. This is a longer process.
It is. We wanted to get the posting out. We wanted to do that, and honestly, we discussed this and thought that this board was capable of doing that.
But there's only 8 remaining trustees.
That's right.
So that would just be.
That's right.
And what if the new people want to serve on it?
On this committee, then it would be a decision that the past board made using the wisdom of the board. And it's just if you wait till the new board is in place, then you won't have this position in place for January. And I think, Trustee Nurse, did it not say the end of the year?
Actually, no later than December 31st. Yes.
Yeah, so the motion we approved said no later than December 31st.
Okay.
So if you wait for the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, maybe, within reason, you will not be able to have that position in place by the 31st of December, which is the motion and which is what we voted on.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Singh.
Is there a way to delay the appointment of the committee, but to put the posting out in appropriate and timely fashion, so we get the committee selected when the new trustees enter, but the posting comes out with the timelines to get it
We
set?
will not make the December 31st deadline.
Okay. Because I have large concerns with, because the 8 trustees are going to be the 8 current trustees.
Yes?
I don't think it's fair to the other trustees. I think it also makes the decision a little biased. Could make the decision a little biased. And it's an important decision. Integrity Commissioner is very important. So if the board would indulge me, if there's an option to, or maybe I'm putting a motion, but to delay this, then we can delay the December 31st as well. But just to be fair and transparent and inclusive of the new trustees, I think it is important to delay.
Thank you. Just a minute, and I'll get back to you. Trustee K. McDonald.
Yes, I also think that because it's about 5 days if we have to wait, and I had raised concerns with you with the fact that it based on this motion, it's going to be by default the 8 trustees that remain, because 4 of you are leaving. And I think that the board going forward is going to be the board dealing with issues, and you know, I think it's important to even see the new trustees may not be interested, but I think it will be prudent to get other voices and other opinions, because sometimes too, just even having a new voice and just a totally different view of something is beneficial. So I also have concerns about why we are doing it. And even if it doesn't, I know the motion says the 31st, so even if we, I don't know, somehow do a friendly amendment to delay it a couple days, or, as my colleague suggested, put the posting out before the committee is selected.
That won't satisfy the motion, though. I don't disagree with you, but it won't satisfy the motion. Because we will not have an integrity commissioner engaged by December 31st. But can I suggest from the chair, you can put the posting out tomorrow, but you still have to have the committee to hire the commissioner. So, and if we wait, you won't satisfy the motion. And this motion is a duly approved motion by this board. Now, can we deal with that? I think so. The motion was by Trustee Nurse, correct? And I don't know who seconded. Do you remember, Trustee Nurse? Do you remember? Okay, everybody's claiming they seconded it. Is it possible to find that motion?
Excuse me,
Okay, all right.
well, excuse me, Chair, if I could finish what I was saying.
Sure.
Because unless we're planning to hire this, the Integrity Commissioner before December the 3rd, I don't see why we couldn't put the job posting out.
Yes?
And still have a hiring date, and then at that December 3rd meeting, the committee could be selected.
Yes?
And it won't affect the hiring. We'll have a date that we're going to hire this individual, but the individuals will be chosen on December the 3rd.
I hear what you're saying. You're disagreeing. You're saying that you think this board can hire that person by the 31st of December. That's what you're saying.
Yes, but you're saying that
I understand
what
that.
I'm suggesting is going to jeopardize that.
No, yeah, I'm saying I don't think it's possible, but, so we have a difference of opinion, but that's okay too. Do you understand what I'm saying? You won't make it. I don't think. You'll make the deadline.
Okay.
But can I suggest, in the spirit of cooperation and facilitation, that the motion is before us right there. It says, therefore be it resolved, the Peel District School Board begin the process of hiring an integrity commissioner with the intended engagement date of no later than December 31st. Now, if we could amend the December 31st date, pardon? But I have to ask the mover, and the seconder, which I don't have at the moment, but you'll forgive me for that because I don't know who it is. But if we could amend that, put that motion on the floor again, because it has to be discussed. So I will ask Vice Chair Nurse if she would, if she would put the amendment, if she would put the motion, can I do this? I don't know. I guess I can do anything. There you go. Communications, Ryan, would you access the minutes for December, when was it? September 13th. Would you access those minutes if you can, please, and tell us who the seconder was? But in the meantime, I'm not sure this is according to Hoyle, but if we put this motion back on the floor, if you would agree to put that motion back on the floor, reactivate it, there's a new way of doing it, and then I would ask someone to move amendment. Now, you could disagree with the amendment or whatever, but that's the only way I believe we will ensure. Well, I'm getting there. I love our chiefs. Okay. Vice Chair Nurse. Speak to me.
I will speak to you. Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. This motion was put on the board since September 13th. I think that was plenty of time in order to get ourselves organized. I'm not putting that on this board. Absolutely not. There's other factors in play, making sure we understood the process, studying other boards, other municipalities to determine how they went about engaging their integrity commissioner. I completely understand why it took till now for this to come before us. What I am willing to be a little bit more flexible on is if the current trustees, because I acknowledge I'm not going to be here, but if the current trustees are passionate about having the new trustees involved in the process, then perhaps, as somebody suggested, the posting could go out before. But that would mean the trustees are not involved with reviewing the posting, which is why there was a desire to have that happen now, so you could see the posting before it goes out, because this is about the trustees. The trustees have to be comfortable with the posting, with the interview process, with the individual who is being employed. So if you want to put the posting out now, before the committee is in place, that means you won't have input in the posting. Is that what this board wants? I would think that you would want an involvement.
But I would caution you.
I know you would.
Let's put the posting out now, tomorrow. Let's form the committee on the 3rd of December. How long will that posting sit out there so that we cover our bases as to people, candidates who might want to respond to that posting? In general, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dawn, you
December's a
would
slow
know
month.
that, but maybe 2 weeks? 2 weeks?
I would suggest 2 weeks would be.
2 weeks. So the posting will be out until the 17th of December. Okay, I mean, I don't know what you're doing for Christmas, but you could certainly be interviewing a commissioner. At the same time, board, all I'm trying to do here, I'm not trying to impede anything. I'm trying to tell you that this is a very important decision, and one that I don't think this board has thoroughly discussed yet. And I can give you examples of why I believe that. So I agree with the appointment, but I'm not sure we're settled on what we're looking for, because we really haven't talked about what it is in this role that we want. And so to suggest that you're going to be able to shortlist and interview and maybe final interview if there's more than, one, between the 17th of December and the 25th, I think you are too ambitious to do this properly. Personally, if I were here, I would be wanting to have a trustee information session on all of this, to know what we're looking for and what we can expect from an integrity commissioner. Because personally, if you make a bad decision, it will reflect on each and every one of you and our new trustees. So that is why I am saying I would rather see us push this back or forward or whatever. I would rather us defer the engagement date till January 31st, I think would be appropriate. I think you can get it done by then. But remembering there's the holidays, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it would be reasonable if people would agree. Now, that's only my opinion. You've already allowed me to speak to it, so that's it. So, trustee...
And closing for myself, as I said, I acknowledge that I will not be here for the December 31st date. So it will be at the will of the board.
Yes.
If you want to push it to January 31st. So I'm not going to oppose my will. I thought when I initially put the motion on the floor in September, it was ample time to form the committee, to have the discussion, to do the posting, to do the interview, and to get the individual in place by. If the board does not feel that is ample time, then absolutely, because I think it's most important to make sure that you are comfortable with the process and comfortable with the individual, because as Chairman McDougall said, at the end of the day, it impacts the trustees more so than anybody.
Okay. So we, Trustee DeCruz, I'll allow speak. We now know it was Trustee Williams who seconded it?
Thank you. Oh,
Seconded it?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I think a couple of things. I completely understand where Vice Chair Nurse is coming from. We have had a number of weeks and months to work on this, but it is November 13th, and we're not there yet. There is a 2-week break, during the holiday season where nothing is going to happen. Even
Right.
if we wanted to hold interviews, no one's going to come. So I don't think it's realistic, and I also really think that the new trustees should be involved in this, because this is going to impact them in one way or another, hopefully not in a negative way, but they are going to be involved, and it is something that we are going to be moving forward with them for. So I really think that they should be involved, and we should absolutely know what the posting is going to say, and we should be involved in creating that. I don't think we should rush into this. We've gone through so many years of not having an integrity commissioner. We can take 2 or 3 extra weeks to get it right. I don't think there's much of a rush. I'm happy to put the motion to amend the time frame. If January 31st seems reasonable, I'm fine with that, even if a couple of weeks later than that, just because there is a 2-week break in the holiday season, and people aren't going to be applying for jobs in mid-December. So just
Okay,
keep that in
so
mind.
if I can, so first of all, I want to ask Vice Chair Nurse, will you, and I don't know if this is legal, but we'll figure it out. Can you put this motion, will you agree to put this motion back on the floor? Yes, Trustee Nurse agrees. Trustee Williams, you're the seconder of the motion. Will you agree to put the motion back on the floor?
Thank you, Madam Chair. On point of order, I think I'm looking at process here.
Okay,
The motion was approved by the board,
yes, it was.
and it's not 6 months since that motion was approved. And there's a time frame between when a motion is passed and when a motion can be withdrawn from the board.
Correct?
And I don't think we accomplished that time.
So that's reconsideration or rescission, but we're doing neither. The intent of this board is, and again, I don't even know if it's legal, but it works. And I believe that bylaws are put in place to enable the board rather than to disable the board. So, and of course we have to follow process, but at this moment, I don't have a specific bylaw that says we can't do this. So this motion has been raised through this particular 9.5. Well, I'm not asking for you to reconsider it. I'm not asking for you to rescind it. I'm asking that it be put back on the floor as is, and that someone move an amendment to it to enable this process to be completed. So although I understand your point, Trustee Williams, I disagree with it. So it's up to you.
Okay, well, I won't be seconding this motion on principle.
If you don't second it, it can't go back on the floor. All right. Will someone move? It has to have notice. This is going to get complicated, people. But we can use, we can, just a minute, okay? Gotta let me think through this. We can use the motion to rescind right now if A, the board will waive notice, If the board will, like, because the motion to rescind needs a notice, needs notice. And so if we waive notice, we're going to have to rescind this motion, and then someone is going to have to put a motion back on the floor that reflects the January 31st, the date. We can do that, but number one, help me, colleagues. Number one, we're going to have to agree to waive notice. Okay, so first of all, I want someone to put a motion to rescind. Trustee Singh has already got, I'm sorry, I have somebody on the, Trustee Crocker, do you want to speak to this mess?
I don't really want to speak to it, Chair, but I feel that I should. I think when you're saying rescind in our bylaws, it's reconsideration. Am I correct?
Well, there's both. There is both.
Well, I'll draw the board's attention in on a point of order to our bylaw on page 21, reconsideration. This is D50. After a vote has been taken on any question, such vote may be reconsidered with the consent of a 2/3 majority of the members present and entitled to vote. So far, so good, right?
I'm sorry,
During
can
the
you
same
just remind me
meeting-
what page you're on, Trustee?
Page 34.
I'm on page 21.
21, go in the back, 21.
Okay,
Page
thank
21.
you.
During the same meeting or at any meeting held thereafter, so far so good again, provided any member shall give notice to the effect in writing at a previous board meeting. This is where it all falls apart. And it says further that a motion for reconsideration shall not be debated. Well, we've been doing that. I guess by now we've all got that in front of us, so I'll
No,
stop.
nobody's put the motion on the floor yet, so we can't. I believe rescission is cleaner, but if you read page 22, D51, I think it's cleaner.
So, Chair, again with your indulgence, so apparently it's in our bylaws twice. It's also E46. I think we need some work on our bylaws, Chair.
No, I think one's for the committees and one's for the regular board. I'm not sure, but I mean, usually that's what
That's a
that
board
means.
committee session, yeah.
Yes.
So I'm quite rightly looking at page 21.
So you're looking
there.
at the right section. It's board, it's regular meetings of the board. Page 22, 23. Either one can work. I just always think that rescission's cleaner. That's reconsideration.
So what is it that you're doing? Aren't you asking for reconsideration?
Well, I was actually going to ask for rescission and then ask someone to put a new motion on the floor. So once you rescind it, it's gone.
Yeah.
And now a trustee puts a new one on the floor. And what I'm asking you to do is to waive notice. Hang on. We have a list. I don't know why. I'm going to just rule, and you people can challenge the chair if you wish. Go ahead.
There may be many who would like to challenge the
Yes,
chair, so
I'm
you can
sure
go
there
right
are.
ahead, Chairman Dood. If I might make a suggestion, can we leave the motion the way it is and change the number of trustees we're asking to put on the committee?
No,
Instead of
because
asking for
but you
8
still
trustees.
won't make the December deadline.
Instead of asking for 8 trustees, we could ask for 4 trustees tonight who would be able to review the RFP, and then at the December 3rd meeting, we could add 4 more trustees
Yes,
to the committee.
yes. And where's the posting? It went
The
out
posting would
tomorrow?
go, yeah,
Okay. It takes 2 weeks to do the posting. And then someone will have to shortlist. And then the committee will have to interview the shortlist. All I'm saying is, yes, if you want to rush this, absolutely.
No, that's not what I meant at all. What I meant was rather than rather than establishing the 8 trustees on the committee tonight.
I'm not establishing the 8. Now we're just worried about the timeline. No, I don't believe you are offering a solution to the timeline. You're saying we can get this all done by December 31st.
I'm saying that to be inclusive, can we consider changing the number of trustees that we put on this committee tonight?
Yes.
With an advisory that in order to get the RFP out, and then add a further 4 trustees to the committee.
Yes.
At the
That'll be
December 3rd
December the 3rd.
Right. And
Right,
there we
December
have
the 4th. I thought I went through that, but okay. I said, so the posting's out there for at least 2 weeks. I guess you're right. Today's the whatever. So we can go to the 1st of December. We can add to the committee. We could do all that. And if this board so desires, I agree with you. We can make the December 31st date, but I wouldn't recommend it.
And all I'm suggesting is an alternative, because I'm concerned that it's not possible to change the motion. So all I was offering was an alternative.
I'm going to make a ruling because this isn't going well. Oh, Trustee Green, okay.
I just got a question, and you know, I'm sitting here and listening and observing these things, and myself, who, when I was an adjudicator, had to deal. We had an integrity commissioner, and the integrity commissioner that we had was independent of the board, the adjudicating board, and that make decision independent when there is something brought into question or a complaint is brought against one of the board member. This is done independently. So there, either way, and I'm just putting it out there, either way, there's no benefit to neither old trustee nor new trustee. So when you look on it that way, does it really matter
I'll talk to Rick.
about the team that select this person? Because this person is going to be independent of the board, that has to make decision when the board or there's a complaint or the board has been brought into disrepute.
Okay.
So that's just my
Okay.
that's just my
All right.
observation and my experience.
Okay.
So
I haven't.
you know, so what's the benefit in this dragging on, this fighting and everything like that? There's no benefit to anyone, because this person will be independent of the board.
Okay. I am going to make a ruling very shortly. Trustee
Chair.
Williams, I put your,
Yes.
just a
Madam-
minute. I want to propose something to you. I want to discuss something with you. Director Joshua does point out the word intended to me, which is pretty interesting. You can take it either positively or negatively, but it does say intended engagement, which we all have, you know, what's that saying about good intentions, or the road to hell is paved with good intentions? So it means that we intend to hire this person by December 31st. But we all know that things happen. All right? So I'm going to ask you to agree to put this motion on the floor because of the word intended.
I'm just looking at process, Madam Chair. In order to, by way of process, in order to address the concern raised, I think this motion should be rescinded. And a new motion come to the floor with a later date, hiring date.
Rick,
That's my,
Rick,
that would be my suggestion, by way of process.
Vice Chair Nurse. Yes, I will. Push your button, please. Thank you. This is kind of fun, kind of not.
I'm having a
Okay,
great time.
Vice Chair Nurse.
I'm having a wonderful time. What do I want to do?
How do you interpret?
What do I want to do?
How do you interpret the word intended?
What did I intend to say by putting intend
Yes.
into the motion?
Yes.
I have no idea. It sounded wonderful at the time.
But could I convince
But
you
you know
that
what?
intended
But you know what? As
is-
you read it, it actually could be interpreted that way.
It could.
So even though it wasn't intended to be that way,
Yes, it could be.
that is how I could interpret it at this
It
point.
could be.
Absolutely.
So if we put this motion, oh, geez, Rick. Trustee Crocker?
We should go to the audience. This is. Any
This is
thoughts?
good for our new trustees.
I think I have the answer, sticking to our bylaws.
Okay.
We have a meeting between now and the first meeting of the new board. So
We
if
do.
someone were to give written notice, as our bylaws require, that we are either going to rescind or to reconsider, I don't care which, at the next meeting, we can do that.
We could.
So why don't we just do that?
Why can't we do it tonight?
Well, our bylaws require us to have written notice, so we can do it at the next meeting.
Or waive it, but yes, okay. This
Where does
board
it
has
say we
waived
can waive
notice
it?
before, but okay. We can do that next week. You're absolutely right. We can. We have time to do it that way.
But we'd have to defer this motion then.
No, we have to
So
rescind
my,
it.
my point is, written motion
Trustee Crocker
tonight.
is asking that someone put a motion of rescission, a notice of motion of rescission on this table right now, and we will deal with it next week. Or we can put a rescission notice now and waive the notice. I know, either way. At the moment, how to exhaust a 30-year-old chair. Okay,
This is a test.
I'll do whatever you want, but I think I like Trustee Crocker's idea of let's
Thank
do
you,
this
Chair,
next
because I don't
week,
see where it says
people.
we can waive it. We
Let's
really
do this
have-
next week,
Let's
people.
take this. This is an integrity commissioner.
Are we all
No one
okay
has
with
commented
that?
on the irony of this, Chair.
Yes. Then you want to waive it, he wants to leave it. Okay, who will waive notice? Put your hands up. Right now, tonight. Well, that is due process, but okay. Nobody? Nobody. Great. Okay, somebody put a notice of motion on this table right now from business arising from this item in this agenda, put a notice of motion to rescind, and there will be a number. There will be a number. I'll have to get it for you, but you'll trust me. To rescind that last part, that therefore the appeal board begin the process of hiring. Trustee Kay McDonald would like to do that, and Trustee Crocker would like to second that.
You must have two-thirds.
No, I'm not going to do it tonight. All right? It's just going to sit there till the next. It's a notice of motion. Okay, we really didn't need a seconder, but that's fine. I'm sure the board reporters will make this all look very good. Nobody listened to the audio. Nobody, please. Okay, all right? We're moving on, people. Okay. Well, that's actually next week. Next week. Next week. I'm sorry, not next week, next meeting, which, if anybody cares, is my last meeting. Maybe I won't show up, maybe, I don't know, but we'll have fun next meeting? Well, Mr. Williams, you better get your cooperation hat on, okay? All right. Okay, you will. Okay, so let's get rid of that one. We are on parent reaching out grants, and it is an oral report. And who's going to give that to us? Who dares? Director Joshua? Yeah, please, if you don't mind. Push your button and let's get that done. Who is? You can say that's
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I just wanted to mention to the board that where we typically receive funding, and a number of our schools have been given the opportunity through the Ministry of Education to apply for grants to support parent engagement, known as the Parent Reaching Out Grant. We have learned that currently the Parent Reaching Out Grant opportunity and applications for it are on a pause from the current government, so we've been made aware of that recently.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. We just wanted to bring people up to date on that. To that, yeah, I've got a whole list here, so I got to go through them. Okay, there you go.
I just want the board also to know that we had an executive meeting conference call with Ontario School Board Association, and we were sending a letter from the board to the ministry to let the ministry know that that is not acceptable. So the letter should be gone because we did, the entire executive gave approval to send that letter.
Good, thank you for that support. Okay, I'm going to move on to Trustee DeCrube.
Thank you. I also wanted to speak to that. I think it's very unfortunate that the government's decided to pause the parent reaching out grants. I think that parent involvement in education and specifically with their children's school is very important and it's very valuable. Unfortunately, they're not seeing that as a valuable part of a child's educational journey. If there's anything we could do to send, I know OPS, Trustee Green just mentioned that OPSBA just is sending a letter, but if there's anything we could do as well to send a letter as a board to say, to give examples of how parent reaching out grants have been used in the past in our board to support parent involvement and student achievement. I think that might be a good idea. So perhaps next week we could do that as our last little project. Yeah, next meeting. Yeah. Last little project.
So I absolutely agree with you. I mean, really, this government has no idea what they're doing. And I think I'm pretty confident in saying that. On one hand, they're doing the biggest consultation of parents they possibly can around HPE and the curriculum because the Liberal government didn't do it well enough. And on the other hand, they're cutting the resource for parent engagement. So yeah, I know it's just the beginning, but I'm saying I don't know, somebody didn't get the memo. So but I agree. I don't think it will change anything, but I think our voices should be heard. And so I'll ask administration to put together a draft letter for the next board meeting and to outline just the total dollar amount that we've received in POR grants within the last 2 or 3 years, and maybe just some examples of schools, and not everybody, but just 3 or 4 examples or 2 or 3 examples of schools and how they used that money. Okay. Do you want to speak to that? No. Well, push.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, we can absolutely provide that information. We've been keeping track on a yearly basis how that funding is coming to our schools, and also the same grant through our Parent Involvement Committee. So happy to provide that information.
Thank you. Trustee Cameron?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, this was an item of lengthy discussion at PIC, our Parent Involvement Committee, with a lot of exasperated expressions from so many of our parents who are working so hard and who have had a history of applying for, building those applications, receiving that money, putting it to good use. Now it's gone. On pause. We have no idea why or for how long. But I would agree with Trustee DeCrube that this board ought to put together a letter and express our disdain for this move as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Kay McDonald.
Thank you. Through the chair, I just have a question. okay, some school councils had events planned,
Yes.
assuming, because they got approval for the PIC funds and assuming the funds were coming. So do you know what impact is having on schools now that they are not getting the funding? So let's say the events that were planned for November, October, were they all canceled, or what happened to those events?
I can't answer your question, but without funding, I would presume that they would have to cancel their events.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I just want to, I know what you intended to say. This isn't any approval through PIC. You were talking about parents reaching out grants,
Yes, the
which
PRO
is PRO grants, which
Sorry.
do come from the government, from the ministry. So this isn't PIC funding, just to clarify that, because I know it might confuse some people.
Okay.
Again, it may be a difficult question to answer. If essentially, if the funds aren't there, and there was an expectation that any of these events were running with the funds that were expected, the schools would not be able to run the particular events. There may have been some funding that was applied for and received in the past. If they actually had that funding, then they could go forward with their particular event. But if they're counting on an application for funds for this year, we've been told those funds are not going to be available.
Right, no, but because, for example, in planning in the past, when I've planned events at my children's school council, we have made deposits for speakers in advance. So that what happens to cases where people had events that were planned earlier in the year, expecting, because they got approval and expecting the money to come, and it didn't come.
Superintendents will help them out, maybe, like, figure it out.
So through you, Chair, I would say that, again, if something was already approved and something was, if they didn't receive approval, I don't think they would have gone forward with a particular project. But if they had actually booked something, then we would be working closely with the schools, through our superintendents, through the principal, to ensure that anything that's already been booked isn't necessarily canceled, if it can't be canceled.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to reports. I haven't done 12.1, 2, and 3 yet. Here for receipt, Trustee Crocker, seconded by Trustee DeCrube. All those in favor? Carried. Now, will we go to reports from trustee representatives on councils or associations? That's terrific. Seeing none. So we'll go now to question or comment period from the board members. So let's go down here to our student trustees who have been unusually silent this evening. Bless you. Okay. Trustee Chongkrian.
Thank you, Madam Chair. During the last weekend of October, Laura and I had the opportunity of representing the Peel District School Board at the Ontario Student Trustees Association Fall General Meeting in downtown Toronto. Over 70 student trustees from all across Ontario came together for professional development, seminars, and networking opportunities. It was a truly memorable experience, being in a space filled with a collective energy driven towards advocating for student voice, and it was genuinely phenomenal. We wanted to share the experience with you all and look forward to our continuous work with OSTEACO.
That's great. Thank you very much. Trustee Oris Nadnova. No, nothing. Trustee DeCrube. Trustee Lawton. Trustee Cameron. Okay. Trustee whatever. Nurse.
I do not intend to say
Nothing. She doesn't intend to say anything. Trustee Crocker.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Back in the 1980s, I had the misfortune to teach in a school in another country, which was an abandoned lumber camp. It wasn't a very good place to teach school. Other than that, the worst school designs I've seen are in the Credit Woodlands area. You know, Ellengale, where you have to walk downstairs from the parking lot to get to the ground floor, where there's room only for kindergarten classrooms. The Woodlands that we put on pylons, I think for the second time, to get it out of the underground river upon which it was built. And Queenston Drive. And Queenston Drive flooded last week. Chair, I was there last week. The water's coming up through the tiles on the lower level of that school. So the reason for my comment here is really to commend our facilities people. We're right on it. Thank you, Controller Hartzman, and I hope you'll pass that along. They responded right away. It's a big job, and it's not going to be done tomorrow. And I'd like to further commend the acting principal at that school, Scott Richards, who's really got it under control. I went in there with a whole bunch of questions, and he had preemptive answers for me. You know, I'm going, mold, yeah, he knew about that, and he was telling me about asbestos and, you know, all the things that you would ask about right away. The staff has had to move all kinds of stuff. They've had to move classes, and they really don't have the room for it. It's been a major inconvenience, and that's just life in the Woodlands because of just the way those schools are designed. So I just want it on the record that their trustees commending them, and I hope I do so on behalf of the entire board.
Thank you. Trustee Kay McDonald.
Through you, Chair, two quick things and then one comment. So I just wanted to first say a big thank you to Carla and her team and to all the staff and anybody who had anything to do with planning for the EML conference. It was an amazing success. The speaker was very engaging, and again at PIC, everyone was talking about how informative it was and how much information, good information, was disseminated that day. Also, with regards to November 11th, again, well, a lot of the different events that occurred were celebrated around all of the schools. However, in the city events, I was just wondering again if we could do something where we have our board represented laying a wreath or participating in a formal way, because I think it's very important for our board. So I just wanted to put that again sort of out there. And also, I just wanted to take this opportunity to remind everyone that today is World Kindness Day. So if you haven't done anything kind today, you still have time. Thank you.
Oh, is that today? No, Thursday. Oh, okay. By the way, you owe United Way $1, Trustee Crocker. Trustee Williams? No, there you go. Trustee Singh? Trustee Green?
I don't have the money today, so.
For the audience, every time you mention a school name, you have to pay $1 to the United Way Fund. So, and I have the contributions upstairs in my office. So, is the student census starting this week? Is it starting this week? Associate Director Dowling? I think it is.
Yeah, I saw something on the web.
There I go, sorry.
There.
It's from the 19th to the 30th.
So that's pretty soon. And the director tells me that Thursday is Giving Day. And so I haven't heard, honestly, I'm a little worried, haven't heard much about our United Way campaign, and I'm just assuming that all our schools and work sites are having a great time, doing lots of activities, but this 15th, but I do encourage people who, if you haven't given to the United Way for Peel District School Board, please do so. It doesn't matter how much you're giving, but it is important, and as I said, Thursday, the 15th, is Giving Day. And so if you just mark that in your calendar and just remember, you can just go online. They have it it's idiot-proof, so to speak, and takes you right to the site. You can do a payroll deduction, you can do a one-time thing. You can do it out of your payroll, as I said, or your credit card or whatever. So, yeah, so please consider that. Are there any public questions? Mrs. Soplet. What time is it? Holy smokes.
Thank you.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you. And through you, Madam Chair, I'm asking the board if, in its report on the PRO grants, if consideration and reference can be made to the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan of the Region of Peel. This was presented at the Regional Council meeting on September 13th. Subsequently, on September the 28th, the City of Mississauga, the Mayor of Mississauga, held the Community Safety Summit, and there created the Mississauga Community Safety Charter. So in referencing this document at that summit, the issues that were raised by the Department of Health for the Region of Peel included mental health, addictions, the poverty reduction strategy, which our Peel and Catholic Board representatives know that Parents Reaching Out grants deliver on poverty indicators of the Ontario Poverty Reduction Strategy. And also, when we have higher levels of education, we increase ability for employment and reduce longer term the waiting lists for affordable housing. And also, we are looking at addressing the root causes of youth disengagement, and Parents Reaching Out grants help to countermand that. So if reference could be made in the report about this Peel Region document, that would help.
Okay, we'll take that under advisement. Do we have that report?
I can send it to you digitally.
Okay.
It's a
If you
public-
do that,
it's-
I'll pass it on.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or questions? It's question period. None. Then would someone move adoption of the in-committee report? Trustee DeCrube, seconded by Trustee Singh. All those in favor? Carried. And adjournment? Oh, don't give it. Yeah, Trustee Cameron. Come on, I got two left, guys. Okay, one left. Trustee Green. All those in favor? Carried.